Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a ton of new products to try, so I just want to do a trying new makeup. So I will link everything down below and let's go ahead and get into it. So I've zoomed you in a little bit and I want to start with a new lip balm. Ole Henriksen came out with these chiller versions of their Pout Preserve Peptide Lip Treatments. I'm a huge fan of the original, but I was a little intrigued, also a little scared to try this chiller version because I didn't want anything that was going to be painful, but I had seen the queen, Teresa is Dead, using this and I was like, I need it. So I got the shade Granada Guava. It smells incredible. And it has the same thick, glossy formula that the original has. I don't notice a ton of the chiller effect, which I'm happy about. And it has a decent amount of tint to it. It looks pretty bright when you apply it. And in terms of the cooling effect, I actually find it refreshing. It does not burn. I'm not even really feeling a buzz. It feels like I just popped a mint in, and I'm just a fan of how hydrating the Ole Henriksen lip balms are in general. Before we get into the rest of the makeup, I did want to thank today's sponsor. I have worked with them so many times and I will continue to scream it from the rooftops because I feel so passionately about it. So I want to say thank you to MIDI Health for sponsoring this video. If you're not familiar, MIDI is changing the game for women's healthcare. They are a virtual care clinic founded by women for women. That's the key part. And they are covered by insurance in all 50 states where available. So if you, like me, have noticed some changes in your midlife, like brain fog, anxiety, and insomnia, those were the big ones for me, but your labs are coming back normal, you need to check out MIDI because they offer something called the Age Well service that connects you with a clinician that specializes in women's health to track beyond the basic labs. They do quarterly checks of hormones, blood sugar, thyroid, cholesterol, and inflammation, so you can have actual data to create a custom plan with targeted supplements specifically for you. They also do retesting and follow-ups to see what's working, what they need to tweak based on facts and not guesswork. And for me personally, this has been the biggest game changer in regards to my sleeping habits, but also my anxiety. I have had to tweak my doses and my clinician has been incredible the whole way through to find what works for me, but I just feel so much more calm and more myself, and my sleep is so important to me. So that has been honestly a game changer for me. Another thing I love about MIDI is I'm a convenience type of gal and you can book a visit very, very quickly. So if something's bothering you, something you're worried about, or you just want a follow-up, you can get a visit within a couple days. Everything's done virtually, which I also love. Everything is just super easy to fit into your daily life. So I will have a link at the top of my description box to check out MIDI and book your first Age Well visit. I cannot recommend it enough. It has just truly changed my quality of life. So that link will be at the top of my description box and also in a pinned comment. But let's go ahead and get into trying some more new makeup. So I have a couple products that I wanted to give my thoughts on. One is a fragrance. So I'll start with that. This is the Sniff Body Mist in Fruity Call. Now I was looking at the new launches. I think there's 3 different body mists and then a fragrance. They're milky, lactonic. I think one of them is like cinnamon toast crunch. They're kind of like a cereal vibe. I can sometimes be turned off by too milky or creamy of fragrances, but I wanted to try this one called Fruity Call, which is supposed to be kind of like Fruity Pebbles, and I absolutely love this. So I just got the mini. This to me smells like if Extra Whip, the body mist from them, which is holy grail for me, mixed with the Crumb Couture fragrance. This smells very much like that. I would say it really is that, basically. It has this delicious, sweet, whipped kind of scent, but it's very gourmand. It's not syrupy gourmand. It's more like fluffy, vanilla, custard sort of gourmand. And I find that these actually wear really well. I have repurchased the Extra Whip, and this would be another one that I would repurchase. Absolutely love this. So I would recommend this if you like Extra Whip or you like the stuff that I like. And then something I was excited about and I do not like. And I'm actually shocked. It's the first product from this brand that I do not like. But my girlfriend bought the lighter shade and then she asked me if I wanted to try this. This is the medium dark cycler self-tanning milky essence. So I was like, absolutely. So she made an order. I tried this out and I was excited because it is truly like a milky toner. It's very thin, so easy to apply. Literally could not be easier. I just used latex gloves and I was like, wow, this is gonna be a game changer if it's that easy. But things went left. So the scent of this is truly like unbearable for me. It is one of the worst smelling, like DHA, biscuit smelling self-tanners that I've ever tried. And I'm talking like 4 days in, like still just feeling like, even when I'm putting my skincare on, I could smell it like on my hands and my arms. And it also got patchy within a couple days and it grabbed on my hands like horrifically. So I was so bummed out by this. The smell alone, I can't do it. Like literally it was making me sick to my stomach. I could just smell it no matter how much I like use body lotions and oils. So for me, it's a no-go. If they could get this formula not scented or very, very, very dialed back, I could see it being useful for like using in between your tan. But I had high hopes. The application was great, but the scent and the wear just wasn't. So I zoomed you in a little bit more and I want to do a very simple eye look. So I'm just going to use my Makeup by Mario palette. I have used this and used it and used it. I just absolutely love it. I'm just going to hop into this shade right here. Let's add in a little bit of this shade. I want to use this to get just a little bit of definition, but I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day. I went to a garden center with my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and then we had lunch, which was great. And then I had my mom over and we had dinner. So it was a good day, but I also know that a lot of people have lost their loved ones. So I know it can be a hard day too. So I'm just thinking of everybody and I hope they had the best Mother's Day possible. Also, shout out to the dog, cat, rabbit, reptile, mice owner, everybody. If you are a animal mother, I'm right there with you. I've got 5 animals that depend on me. 3 I didn't even want and I didn't ask for. They showed up and now I am their mother. I feel like I'm Snow White here. We also have a groundhog that's under our shed. I think it's a her. I noticed her a couple weeks ago. At first, me being me, I'm like, is that a beaver? Because we have a pond and I couldn't tell. They look so similar in my opinion. And my husband was like, oh my God, no. He's like, it's a groundhog. I'm still convinced there could be a beaver there because the tail is a little sus, but I love watching her. She is very skittish. She stays behind the shed, but she'll like peek her little head out. And out of the corner of my eye, I just see her like side-eyeing me. And she's like, don't come near me, don't look at me. And I'm like, I'm just existing in my house. So we are trying to come to an understanding currently, but right now we're having a lot of standoffs, which I'm okay with. And I have read that they can be quite destructive. So I'm keeping an eye out, keeping an eye on her, and I'm hoping she'll just stay in her little shed area and we can coexist happily. So if anybody has had a groundhog, let me know, because I was actually on TikTok. When I say had a groundhog, I'm not talking about as a pet. I'm talking about that lived on your property. I was on TikTok and there's a creator or an account that has a groundhog that lives under their shed or garage. And his name is Jeff. And the guy like literally hoists down like burritos of like bananas and peanut butter and lettuce for Jeff. And Jeff eats it on camera and everybody goes insane. And I'm just like, this is why we have TikTok people. So that may be my future if y'all would be interested. I'm literally kidding, but I'm kind of not. I'm also gonna grab this shade alone and just add a little bit of dimension to the outer lower portion. And then I am gonna take the light shade and just pack this on the lid to brighten up. For eyeliner, I want to try this new shade of the Sarah Creole eyeliner. So this is in Everyday Matte Bronze. This is a well-loved formula. I have heard so many people rave about this. I'm getting into Sarah Creole makeup and I have really enjoyed what I've tried so far. But this is a brand new color. So I'm just going to swatch it. It has really nice pigment, and then on the other side there is a blending brush. So I'm going to attempt to use that and then see how it goes. But once this sets, it sets. I swatched it the other day and it is on there once you blend it out, but it looks like you have a little bit of playtime. So I'm just going to draw this like so and then use the brush and start to soften and drag, and then kind of building again. Just gonna clean up a little bit and then we will kind of tweak it. I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, it's not moving at all. So very, very, very long wearing. So I did my wings, they're not perfect, and I messed up the blending over here. It is so annoying. This side always gets like patchy or weird because I have my microblading covered and it's just worse on this side. But I'm gonna take the liner and also tight line because it is so long wearing. I hate tight lining or adding it to my upper waterline, but it really does help, especially because I have blonde lashes. This liner formula is probably better if you're not trying to smudge it as much. I didn't have any issues smudging it. It feels like it's more of just like a long wear formula. So we shall see how this wears. But I thought I kind of want to put one of these Bobbi Brown toppers on. I am in love with these. I purchased and recommended the Brilliant Moonstone in my Sephora recommendations. It was sold out for a lot of the sale, which was annoying, but look at this. It is so stunning, truly incredible, but all the shades are different. So Bobbi Brown did send me 2 other shades. This one is not as glittery and it is Brilliant Honey. It's more like metallic. And then we also have this shade that is called Brilliant Bronze. This is more of, I would say, like a coppery bronze. I still think this one is the best, but I want to try a little bit of the middle shade that is Brilliant Honey. I like to use my fingertip to apply these. I just think it works better and you don't get chunking. And I like that like scattered look. So obviously if you want to build it up to full metallic, you can. But I'm just kind of patting and also kind of dragging like a smidge. I'm just kind of flicking to get the pigment there and then softening around. This actually reads more glittery on the eye than I thought. Just from the swatches, I think because this one is more clear, like it's a lot of glitter, there's not a ton of base pigment. This one has pigment behind it. I didn't know if it was gonna be super sparkly, but it actually is looking really sparkly on my lid. Little Miss wanted to say hello. Little kitty girl. She always gets this like crazy eye when I bring her on camera. She's like, I want to play, I want to be held. But okay, we have a new mascara to try. So this is from BabsBeauty. This was sent to me in PR, and this is the Effortless Lash Classic Curve Mascara. So I have tried this. This has a kind of half-rounded wand. And what I like about this so far is the fact that it can do 2 things. If I apply it with the curve facing down, I can get almost like a tight line look or effect. So for those of us that have very light lashes and you feel like you don't want to put on liner every day, I don't know, it like touches your lash, and then you can turn it with the curve facing in and get more of that like length. And then I'm just gonna build up the outer portion. I don't feel like you get a ton of volume with this. It's more length. So if you want volume, you may have to use something else to beef it up. And with any mascara, I always have my lashes dropping, except for the Clio Kill Lash. That's like the best mascara that keeps my lashes lifted. So I curled them, but then once I put on mascara, like you can see the difference. This one's already dropping. So once I curl them, I let them dry completely, and then I do recurl them with a heated lash curler, and that seems to help. But that's just kind of my lashes. So this is what the mascara looks like. I think it's pretty nice so far. I like it for every day because, again, if I'm not gonna wear any liner, I can just kind of press it and get that definition and then do the length. And I feel like it's really convenient and kind of a 2-for-1 for me. So to prep the skin for foundation, I have a brand new product from Glow Recipe. So they sent this over. It's the Watermelon Milk Peptide Glow Cushion Cream. Packaging is always beautiful for Glow Recipe, but for skincare, I typically stick with very basic products that do not have any fragrance, but this does have, oh no, is this fragrance free? It's the Watermelon Milk. I smell 0 fragrance. Let me start to work this in, and then I'm gonna look it up and see if they are changing that. That's actually incredible for me. I'm sure some people will be disappointed because it is the watermelon line from Glow Recipe, but I just don't really love fragrance in my skincare especially. So this looks and feels like a gel base, which is nice. It's not super heavy, so I could see it working for a lot of skin types, but when you do blend it out or work it in, it does have a really nice slip to it. So I would guess more hydrating than like your standard gel cream moisturizer. So I've got it pulled up on Sephora, and it says that it is fragrance-free, silicone-free, good for dryness. It has peptides, good for the skin barrier. So they are actually changing it up and not giving us fragranced versions, which I actually prefer. So we'll see how this plays under makeup, but I do feel like my skin looks very, very hydrated. I'm also gonna add a little bit of this Dew Reviving Eye Gel, just because I was tugging under my eyes, cleaning up my wing, and I wanna make sure that I'm as hydrated as possible. Kenny is battling with her toys and her bone, so if you hear her growling and barking, she's doing her little thing. For foundation, I am late to this, but I purchased this a while ago and I want to try it because I also have a new concealer from NYX. So this is the NYX Make 'em Wonder Soft Matte Buildable Foundation. I have the shade Classic Ivory. I've heard some good things about this, so I'm just gonna shake this up. And I'm probably gonna have to pull it down my neck, but I haven't done my self-tan since that cycler. I was like trying to get it off and it's still stuck in certain areas. So we have a squeezy tube, which could be good for travel, but not the most luxurious. It doesn't really matter to me as long as I like the formula. This shade's a little deep for me right now, but I think we can make it work. So I'm just going to put some on the back of my hand, and I'm gonna use a BK 115 to apply. This is supposed to be a medium to full coverage, so buildable. It says that it's a soft matte that lasts 24 hours, but it also says it's skincare infused. Typically skincare infused I don't love in my foundations, but soft matte, we'll have to see. The shade does run quite warm. I would say dark too, Classic Ivory. This seems a little bit deeper than I anticipated. I'm gonna pull this down my neck. So this is what the NYX foundation looks like. I feel like it's very easy to apply. I don't know if it's looking a little bit more glowy because of how hydrating that Glow Recipe is, but everything applied really easily. I felt like the coverage was medium off the bat, and I do think it's buildable. I like that it doesn't feel like thick or sticky, so we'll see how this wears. I've noticed a little bit of smearing on my nose. That happens with a lot of foundations, but it isn't like too bad, just something to note. So I wanna go on next to try the Sarah Creole bronzer. So this is the cream bronzer. I was sent this in PR. So I have the shade Just Like Paradise. I believe that she launched some new shades to expand the shade range. It has a really emollient feel, but very thin. And then as you blend it out, seems to kind of settle. Like it's not sticky, but it feels quite hydrating. I do think this also looks like it's buildable. So I'm gonna use a BK Beauty 109 and just load my brush up and then see how this goes. This color is not too warm, which is nice. Oh my gosh, Kennedy just burped. Got some ASMR going on in the background. Okay, it actually seems to show up more than I had thought. I feel like if you're blending it on your hand like I did, it can really shear out. But if you're using more of like a stippling motion with a brush like this, you're gonna get more payoff. I still believe that it is a little bit more forgiving or sheer than, let's say, like the LYS cream bronzer. So if you like a more natural kind of buildable formula, but it definitely is there. I can see that it did give me that sculpting, and I like that the shade isn't too warm. So this is what the Sarah Creole bronzer looks like. I feel like it looks quite natural. Everything blended great. As I said, it's more of a buildable formula. So we'll see how it goes with everything else, but I had to pick up the new shade in the Armani Cheek Tint. I ride or die for this formula. I am truly in love with it. I have almost every shade. I really like the originals more than the luminous versions. The luminous versions are a little bit more dewy and more sheer. I just don't love them as much, but this is one of the new colors and it's in 54. I think it's like a lilac lavender, and this is definitely a different shade for them. Kind of like a purpley lavender pink. And I'm gonna use a BK Beauty 109. This is a clean brush. I like to work off my hand and just load the brush up and then start to apply. This is really unique to my collection. There's just something different about the color than most of the pink lavender colors. This one has, I don't know, more punch to it. So I feel like a lot of skin tones would look really good in this color. And then I do go around the edges with my foundation brush just to kind of soften, but this is very, very pretty. It's not as scary or intimidating as I thought it would be. It's quite unique though, and I like that it has like a punch to it. So I want to try next this concealer. I haven't heard anybody talk about this. I think it launched during the Sephora sale, and again, everybody was all about the Sephora sale. So this is the NYX Wonder Snatch Concealer. I picked this up in the shade 06 Fair. It's a little light for me. This is supposed to be a full coverage 24-hour wear. It's very thin, and this is very light, this color. But I think the coverage is quite nice. I don't know if I would say it's full. When I think of full, I'm thinking of like the Charlotte Tilbury, which is incredible. Maybe medium buildable is where I would put this. So I'm gonna use an A506 from BK Beauty. I let it sit for a minute or so, just so I can get like maximum coverage. The shade is very light for me. I guess more so for this foundation, but as you blend it out, it has that like moussey appearance. Okay, this is very, very light. Woo! So I'm gonna pull this down, go back in with my blush brush and kind of melt together. This is very light though. I think it'll be okay though once we put powder on. But again, it has a nice coverage. I don't know if I would say it's full, but it's high medium. It can be a smidge drying. Like I can see a little bit of dryness right in there, which I do struggle with. I am worried that I'm trying a new powder today and I don't want the powder to be drying as well. And then I have some really rough under eyes. I'm also just gonna take whatever's left over on that concealer brush and just try to brighten the center of the face a little tiny bit. I think we'll be okay once we use powder, but I'm excited, a little nervous, but we have a new powder from Natasha Denona. So this was sent to me in PR. This is the pamphlet that was sent. It is the High Glam Setting Powder. It's supposed to be sweat and waterproof, translucent and blurring. It really is supposed to be waterproof, and she even sent in the PR package water to spray your face. So we are gonna try that, but she also sent a puff that I wanted to test out today. This is what it looks like. It's definitely thicker than I had anticipated. I mean, it's like a spongy, really squishy but thick powder puff. I don't know about this under the eyes because I can already tell I'm gonna have a hard time getting under my eyes. I might actually just bend it and see. And then we also have a brush. This is the powder brush. This is what the powder looks like. It is translucent. The packaging is really pretty, but I don't know if you can adjust how much comes out. It has a cap that you lift off, and then it has the logo ND. That's the one thing about powders, like the L'Oreal, I have to fight with it to get the powder out. So that's not ideal. I'm just going to tap it. I mean, I feel like it does come out relatively quickly, better than the L'Oreal. And then I'm going to tap into the powder. I'm just bending the puff. She does say not to bake with it. So I'm just pressing and then going back on my hand and building from there. I am finding that this cap is kind of hard to work out of. Like I'm having to like get in there to get the product out. I personally I'm not loving this so far. I just feel like I like my other puffs better, but that's just personal preference. So I'm just setting all around. And then I will just go over the bronzer and blush. First impression, it's very, very finely milled, but I don't think that it's the most blurring. I mean, you're gonna get a blur, like I definitely see a blur, but I don't think that it's more blurring than my L'Oreal. I was looking at my nose here. It looks pretty rough. Ooh, that's pretty caked up there. Let me zoom you in so you can see. That looks pretty cakey right in there. I have this problem with my nose not sticking, so I often use a pressed powder for my nose just to give me like extra coverage. I still have like caking in my nose, so that could be the NYX foundation. And I do want to try the brush, so I'm just going to swirl into the cap. I don't typically use brushes to set. This one is very, very soft though, but a lot of time brushes make it patchy for me, or they just don't set heavily enough. All right, so I zoomed you all the way in so you can see. I feel like it set okay, but again, not the most blurring. I also am noticing this dryness on my under eye from the NYX. Yeah, I don't know. I want to like it, but if you have any like dryness, it definitely clings. So that's just something to note. But I want to try now to use this water. So she sent this. It's the water test spray. So what I'm going to do is cover my eyes because everything's just going to go everywhere. And I'm just going to focus on my lower face and we will just see if everything hangs around. That's the whole claim of this. So let me just do a test spray. Okay, so I'm about to drench myself. This feels really weird, but let's try it. Okay, I think I did enough there. So, wow, I went a little overboard here. So it is dripping off of my face. You know what? I am so ADHD that I don't even have anything to pat and see if it transfers. Hold, please. All right, so I have a tissue. I'm just going to blot lightly. There is very minimal coming off, and I like doused myself. I'm pretty impressed. I mean, I definitely think there's an aspect of this keeping your makeup on because the fact that I just literally drenched my face and it looks pretty much the same as the other side. It could be nice if you are, at the pool, you get splashed, something like that. Typically, you would see it running down your face. I mean, I feel like I lost maybe a little bit of the blush, but it looks pretty much the same. So I'm impressed because I do think that the waterproof claims could be legit. So I went ahead and finished my brows, and I wanted to add some more bronzer. I do feel like I lost a little bit with the water test. I don't know if I put enough powder on, but I have this Chocolate Soleil matte blurring bronzer from Too Faced. Everything's been reformulated, so I think they added more shades or changed shades and reformulated. I'm not sure the difference. I went on Sephora and it's so confusing, so I'm just like, okay. So this is Chocolate Soleil. It has the chocolate smell. I would say middle of the road bronzer. It doesn't seem to be too warm or too cool. So I like to use a slanted brush, something that you would use for your cream products. It just helps with patchiness and application. So I'm just going to add a little bit on top just because I feel like we lost some of that. It definitely added color. I tend to go lower than I need to. So a lot of the times I'll take a powder brush to clean up. And even though I have a ton of blush on already, I want to add a little bit of this Tom Ford blush. This is in Crushed Rose. I adore this formula. It is honestly effortless, so gorgeous. It's blurring. I just think it is stunning. I actually have 5 shades. It is truly gorgeous. So I'm just going to use this to kind of diffuse and tie everything together. For the lower lash line, I wanted to try this Makeup Forever eye crayon. So this is new from them. It's the Aqua Resist Color Pencil in Boundless Bisque. I don't think this is a new concept, but I think it's a new formula. Everything is getting reformulated. Literally my head is like spinning, truly. So I just want to try this in my waterline because I love light colors like this to just really brighten the eyes. It's applying really nicely. It's got a nice creaminess and that color is nice. So we'll see how it settles. A lot of times it will just start getting like clumpy and it doesn't sit right, or it'll just wear away. So I want to see how much wear this gets and if it stays intact. And then for highlighter, I have this Dior Daisy Ladybug Compact. This sold out. I think they're supposed to restock, so I'm trying to, keep my eye on it. But this is the limited edition in Sunkissed. The packaging is so pretty. They had bronzers and then this. It sold out so fast. I'm just like, why don't they make more stock? But it has like these 3D daisies, and then the actual highlighter is so pretty. It's like a peachy, gorgeous, I would say glittery formula. I find that a lot of their like limited edition highlighters do have glitter in them, but the packaging is like so pretty that I don't care. So I'm gonna use my A14 to apply this and just add a little bit of sparkle. So you can see like there is glitter particles. So this would not be like my everyday highlighter, but for going out or just like that holiday glam or a special occasion, I still think it's pretty though. I mean, it gives this really pretty glow. Moving on to lips, I am going to try this new Bosma Lip Lock Liner. So I got 2 shades sent to me. I've tried these off camera and I'm enjoying them so far. I have the color 02 and then I also have the color 03. So 03 is a little bit too warm for me, like a little bit too pink. So I'm gonna use 02. They have a similar application, I would say, to the new YSL, almost like a silicone base. They're buildable and you can blend them if you want to initially to sheer them out, but then they do set down. I did just sharpen it to get more precision. And I wanted to show you, if you go like this over them when they're set, you can feel a little bit of like tack or grit, but they really are not moving. So they are long wear once they set down. Like I'm scrubbing with this and you really gotta scrub. So Long wear, absolutely. But again, more of like a buildable formulation, not quite as silicone as the YSL, but they do have like a similar DNA, I would say. For lipstick, I did pick up one of the Dior glass lipsticks. I just love Dior products. I was sucked in. So I got the color Rose Charms. The packaging feels really lightweight. It has like that reflective silver component. Now these are interesting. I would say they are more sheer than they show on the models, which is a little bit disappointing. I find that a lot of the times, especially with like lip oils and things like that, they do have a tint, but they're not as intense as I thought. They are very shiny and glossy, which I like, but they do also have that fragrance. And I notice if you apply too much, it will get in your mouth, or at least mine, and it is a little bit bothersome. So just keep that in mind. But I'm going to apply this and try not to go overboard. Now this has a really, I would say, grippy formula. I don't want to say sticky, but it grips, and there is, I would say, a little bit of tack. So if you're very sensitive, I don't know if you would like this. It feels like it's going to hang on. So this is what it looks like. I feel like if I were to build it up even more, it starts to get in my mouth, and I don't like that. I am eyeing another shade. I think it's like coral something, and that one looks more pigmented. So I may go for that if I can get over the taste. It's just something that I wanted to note, but I do think that it's a pretty formula. All right, guys, so here is my finished makeup look, trying out new products. I want to go over my thoughts. We have some standout products and some that I'm kind of iffy on. So I absolutely love the Ole Henriksen. I felt like my lips were hydrated all the way through, and it doesn't hurt. It just has like a minty sort of cooling effect when you breathe in and out. Super hydrating. I love how glossy it is. The tint is beautiful on this as well, so I love that. And then in terms of the Bobbi Brown sticks, I think they are stunning. Absolutely love them. If you like the Danessa Myricks, you will love these. I find they are very similar, but I would say these are a little bit more glittery, and they are a little bit less chunky. So stunning. My top pick is still the Brilliant, I think it's Moonstone. It is stunning. It will go with anything, so I highly recommend these. And then the Sarah Creole liner, I really like it. I don't have any irritation in my waterline, and I didn't see any transfer, which I do get with a lot of other liners when I tightline. So I'll have to continue to wear this and try it out. I'm pleasantly surprised by the Glow Recipe Moisturizer. I love that they took the fragrance out and actually are focusing on skincare and not just like trending what is fun. Of course, it's fun to have, you know, scents in some of your products, but for me personally, in my skincare, I do not like that. It is a gel base and it feels really thin and lightweight, but it really does give some intense moisture. I would say that it has, I don't want to say greasy, but it definitely has an intense hydration to it. But it did play well with my makeup. I didn't have any patching or lifting. It didn't feel like thick, which can get a little bit gunky. So I really like this. It would be something that I would probably reach for more at night, but I am quite impressed. And then I think this looks pretty good. I have to see how this does with my L'Oreal powder because the Natasha is just not as smoothing as I'm used to, but I like the feel of this. The coverage was great. It doesn't feel heavy even though it's skincare infused. So I think this is nice so far. It's not the most smoothing, but I did find it to be easy to build, easy to blend, worked with other products nicely. So I have high hopes for this. And then I do like this bronzer from Sarah Creole. I think it's more of a natural bronzer. It would be something that I would reach for just every day when I want a little bit of definition. I would say when in doubt, go up a shade because it is quite buildable. And it is really emollient when you touch it, but once you start blending it out, it kind of settles so it's not sticky or heavy. So I think this is a nice everyday throw in your makeup bag type of product, but of course Sarah Creole is pricey, so just keep that in mind. And of course I love this blush. I cannot have enough shades in this formula. It is truly perfection. And I do think this is unique because it's not quite as light as I thought, which I think will work for more skin tones. And then the NYX, I want to love it. This shade is so light. I tried to make it work. I think it has good coverage. It goes from a really thin texture to, I would say, like that whipped mousse feel, but it does cling to dryness. If you have dry under eyes like I do or flaking, I don't know if this is gonna be for you. It looks okay from afar, but like when you start looking up close, you can see it clinging, and I've noticed this multiple times with this. So for me, I just don't think it's gonna work out. And in terms of the BabsBeauty mascara, I find that it gives you nice length, but not a ton of volume. Again, I think I really like it because I can sort of press and get that tight lined effect if I turn the bristles, and then I can get that length. So this is more of like an everyday, just easy 2-in-1 for me. But if you're expecting, you know, huge volume, I don't think it's gonna give it to you. I don't think that it's a heavy or sticky formula, because once I curled my lashes, I do feel like they're sitting nice and upright. So I like it so far, but it's not the most like volumizing of everything I've tried. And then the Natasha Denona powder, it's very, very interesting. I think that the packaging can be a little bit annoying because you have to really get the product out, and then you have this like thick lid that looks pretty, but you're trying to like dip in there with a powder puff. If you use a brush, I don't think it would be an issue, but I like that it is really finely milled. I found that it set everything without getting patchy, which is good. I don't believe it's the most smoothing, which is kind of a drawback for me. I really think it is probably water resistant or waterproof, or as close to waterproof as you can get. So I do agree with that, and I think it is really special in that regard. But I would prefer to use my own powder on my T-zone and then dust this on top for extra security. So I'm gonna use this in the coming days and weeks, and I will update you, but I do think that it is special in the waterproof department, but I'm not sure, again, in the smoothing department. And I'll have to try that with my favorite foundations because I'm using a new foundation as well. And then the Too Faced, again, it feels nice. It's not like wowing me, but there was nothing wrong with it. I felt like it was buildable. There's no shimmer to it. But again, Too Faced has had really good bronzers for a long time. And then so far, this is hanging on nicely. The Makeup Forever liner, it's quite bright, but it is still that like beige color. So I have high hopes for this. I'll have to update if it starts smudging. And the Bosma lip liners, again, I think they're really pretty. They are more of that like slippy, buildable formula, but I think that's nice because they're not gonna like overload you like, let's say, the Fenty Beauty, where you can't move them. These are kind of a 2-in-1. You can apply and then blend and buff, and then they set down and they are not moving. So I think this is a nice formula. And then the Dior lipsticks, again, I wish they had a little bit more oomph, like a little bit more pigment, and I wish they didn't have the scent in there. I do find that right now I'm not getting the scent, which is great, but I think the other day when I did notice the scent, it was because I applied a lot trying to build up that color payoff, and then it was like in my mouth. So I would say just one swipe around is all you need. And I mean, it is pretty. Like, it definitely has some color, but it's not going to be as, you know, high shine and pigmented as the models. So I think that sums up everything that I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Of course, I will link everything down below and on the screen for YouTube shopping. So if you want to check anything out, everything will be in my description box. Don't forget to book your first Age Well visit with Midi. I highly recommend it if you've been struggling with your health and you really want to go beyond the basic labs. So that link will be at the top of my description box as well as in a pinned comment. But if you're new here, I hope you stick around and subscribe. As always, thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.